All right, hi, I'm Al Robinson with Hat City Blog. I'm here at the Atlantic Restaurant, and I'm here with the owner of the Atlantic Restaurant and also a candidate running for the second ward, City Council, Helena Abrantes. Thank you very much for coming on the little program I have here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure, as always.
All right. Well, for people who don't know you, can you give me a little background about who you are and why you're running for the seat?
Sure. I actually was in that seat for approximately 7 years. I won 3 elections and I was appointed to the seat when someone stepped down prior to that. So I have quite a bit of experience when it comes to being on the Common Council. And one of the reasons that I ran in the first time, as well as now, is I think it's very important that people really voice their true opinion, and not their personal opinion, but the opinion of the people that put them into office. And I truly believe that is not happening today, and it's a problem because we really need to take concern as to the events that are occurring in our wards and within our city itself.
Okay. So I know you've been door knocking and talking to a lot of the residents in your ward. Tell me some of the issues and some of the feedback you've been getting from your residents in terms of concerns that are happening in your neighborhood.
Well, they generally talk about some of the issues in the neighborhood, but they also talk about issues in the city itself.
Okay.
And no matter whether you're at councils at large or council in a ward, you make a difference when you do the voting at the time of budgets, at the time, any time that you vote on the council. A lot of the concerns in the second ward are the overdevelopment. We have a lot of property at this point that there's so many condos going up. We don't have the capacity for our schools. They are overpopulated. The teaching staff cannot teach them properly. Our emergency staff is not prepared to handle all of the people that are moving into our neighborhoods. And also, there are so many homes in foreclosure and the tax base, and people just can't afford it at this point. And it's affecting a lot of people in a very negative way. And we do need to preserve land, yes. We have been preserving some land. Yes, you read a lot of publicity in the newspaper about we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but that's what normally comes out during election time. That is not necessarily what happens, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And people just read the headline and read a brief article about what's going on, but they truly don't know what the promises were for this thing to occur. And people really need to start looking into that.
Yeah, of course. A thing or two about Mayor Bouton's promises that he's made because in 2007 you ran for mayor.
Yes, I did.
And the current mayor, Mayor Bouton, made a lot of promises back and forth about things that he was going to do in terms of education, development, things of that nature that really didn't come to light at all.
Well, I am truly very upset about what's happening with our educational system. I have two boys that graduated from Danbury High School. They were in the honors program. They've done very well for themselves. I graduated from Danbury High School. It's a phenomenal school. It has a phenomenal staff, but we're losing them. And some of the restructuring of the school is just not the proper restructuring for the type of students that we have in the school itself and the size. And I've talked to a lot of teachers that live in the second ward. They're very upset about what's going on in the school system, and I totally agree with them. Something has to be done, and you can't just, during election, you can't just make promises. You literally have to follow through. He's had enough years to literally follow through with the promises that he made. We talked about, I personally talked about a performing arts, about a program that is occurring and has occurred in Florida, which has been outstanding for the educational system in a failing school system.
In fact, I think you talked about that during your 2007 debate with Mayor Bouton in front of the PTO.
Yes, I did. And that was a great way to bring in funding to help the schools, and it wouldn't put such a tax burden on the taxpayers so that you could increase the issues in the school, the programs and everything. Instead of increasing them, we're decreasing them. And we have to stop. We have to look at the infrastructure. You can't just want to build, build, build. You're not going to sell. People are not buying at this point. And it's a serious problem. And I hope that we really start looking at these issues and that people really start questioning some of the issues that come before the council, not just rubber stamping what someone tells you, because that's not necessarily the facts.
Right. Back to education, I think that you hit a very good note on the importance of arts and as well as sports, because as somebody who's been following your education for quite some time, from the moment, from 2007, you were making those comments about the arts program, as well as the Savin report that came out during your running. Now we have an art on a cart in some of these schools, where we don't even have classrooms for the art programs. We have it set up on a cart. We have closet space that are used for classrooms or for offices. You know, things have gotten a lot worse since you have run for mayor, and a lot of that stuff came out back in 2007 in that report.
Yes, it's true. I mean, the fact that we buy a building which has not been inspected. We buy a building which supposedly was prepared and ready to go with regards, yes, for the Head Start program, which is a great program and it's wonderful for the children. But normally, all the years that I was on the council, we never approved something like that in that manner unless we knew what the results of the inspections were. And now we're being told that the building can't be used, it has to be knocked down and rebuilt. So for me, that's a concern. You have to ask these questions prior to approving or buying something and making plans for the next step to occur. These students that are graduating from our school system, they want to go to good schools. They want to do well in the future. They want to be our leaders. And that's exactly what we want from these students. We want them to come back to the community, to participate in the community and do the best that they can and improve it to the next level. But if you're not giving them a quality educational system through our public schools, then we have a problem. And it's not that we have a staff that is more than qualified. They are outstanding teachers. They care about the students. And we need to start paying attention to this and making some noise, which has occurred because people are upset with Shelter Rock, with the overcrowding. And if I remember correctly, we were told that that would never happen because people with children were not going to move into those condos.
Right.
The only people that were going to be moving into those condos were professionals without any children. You cannot make a statement like that. Right. You have no idea who is moving into a development and how many children they're going to have or how many children they're not going to have.
Yeah, I think that when you look at that particular ward, I think we're talking about the fourth ward,
yes,
where Shelter Rock is at, and you look at, you know, the makeup of that ward, the only thing that has changed in the last, 15 years or so is just the amount of condominiums that have popped up in that area.
And the same thing is occurring in the second ward, which is a concern for us, because Pembroke School only houses so many people. I mean, and a lot of people don't have the money at this point to pay for private schools. Right. They just can't afford it. They're living, on strings, and it's not fair.
Right. Can you tell me why somebody should vote for you as opposed to the incumbents who are in office right now?
Of course. I read some of the flyers from one of the incumbent, and I thought it was great. They developed the 311 line. Well, I have a concern with the 311 line because the 311 line doesn't work most of the time. I know tons of people that have called that number and no one's ever addressed their problems. And that's not how you resolve it. You know what, if someone has an issue in the third ward, they should be able to contact that council person, and that council person should personally look to see what needs to be done to resolve it. Not expect to leave a message on a phone, and maybe you'll get a call back. Maybe you won't get a call back. When I was on the council, I wasn't just on the council. I did a lot more. I was very involved. I was on the diversity task force to work for diversity in our police department and our fire department. I devoted a lot of hours to that. It's not just going to 2 meetings or 1 meeting a week. It's a month. It's a lot more than that. It involves a lot more than that. And if you truly care about the community, you have to give more of your time for those type of meetings. I was on the grant board. I went to many of those meetings also. I was involved, I was fortunate to be selected and to be put on a lot of those committees, and I was very proud of that because they had enough respect for me. I had voters that would leave things in my mailbox. They didn't want me to know who it was, but about certain issues that were occurring, and when we went to the council meeting, I'd bring those issues forward, and people would look at me like, where did you get that information from? It doesn't matter. If there's a concern and someone is very concerned about it, I have to bring it forward. They're the ones that put me into office. Right. I didn't put myself into office.
Right. Well, speaking about concerns in the second ward, right now we just had a very severe storm and knocked out a lot of power within the second ward. Let's say you're the council person right now. What would you do in terms of expressing the frustrations amongst a lot of residents in the second ward who don't have power for multiple days right now, and how would you channel that into like some type of action on a city level?
First of all, I'm not going to go on the radio and condemn CLMP. I'm not going to go in the newspaper and condemn CLMP. The best way to handle that would be to sit down with employees of CLMP, managers, people that are at the head of the department, work that out with the mayor and other council members in other communities. I know what our concerns were. I knew the problems I had getting home Saturday night and how devastated people are in our area. You have to sit down and communicate with people. Okay, you need to do this. What do we need to do to make it easier for you to come in and repair the lines? We knew exactly what the problem was when we had the storm in October. The problems with the trees and everything else. We should make calls to some of these homeowners. I don't understand. I haven't seen it so much in the second ward, but in other wards, I have seen people's trees still in the middle of the road, and they haven't even bothered to clean them up yet. And I mean, you as a homeowner should have a duty to be able to make the road passable. It's your tree. You have to help. Everybody has to work together. If everyone works together, the job gets done much quicker. But we have to coordinate our forestry department, our Parks and Rec department, to go out and work with CLMP. And we need to let our employees work. You know what? Let's stop paying out tons of money for frivolous lawsuits and use our taxpayer dollars to pay our employees that work for the city and do the job that they need to do.
Hold on, you hit one more quick thing, and I'll be real quick. I'm going to divert just a little bit from there. You talk about frivolous lawsuits. You again did run in 2007, and as I recall, because I was at the Chamber of Commerce debate during that time, you made a statement regarding the Danbury 11 case, in which you said that you were concerned about Mayor Boughton making a statement saying that Danbury was not involved at all with the raids down at Kennedy Park, and you said there's a lot of questions that need to be answered at that time in regards to that case. Fast forward 4 years from now, now we know that the mayor wasn't really truthful in regards to the city's role in that particular raid. Reflecting back upon what you saw in 2007 to what you see now, what are your thoughts in regards to that case, and more importantly, what are your thoughts about the settlement?
First of all, I'm very upset about that because there is no reason why we should get sued for a situation in that manner. We shouldn't be handling situations like that. If we have a problem, there are phones. You pick up the phone and you contact the people that are responsible for that, which are the federal agents, immigration officers. If you have a problem and you have people that are criminals in this state, we have always had the option of calling them up, and when they're arrested, immediately you know whether they have a criminal record and whether they're wanted or not. And all you have to do is notify them that you have them. They come in, they pick them up, they take them. But don't set up your own people and then deny that you didn't know anything about it, because basically that's what you're doing. And in the deposition, it clearly shows that he was not telling the truth. You're better off being truthful and being honest than having to pay out so much money. Not only did we pay out the money, but if you look at how much the attorney's fees were,
right, yeah,
and the time that was wasted with our employees going to depositions and having to testify, the cost is astronomical to the taxpayers. It is not an expense that we should have occurred. We need that money for other resources within our community.
Right. Now, and one more quick thing, I'll be real fast. Back in 2007, when you ran for mayor, and this is in combination, this touches onto the second ward. BRT had a huge tax deferment for Crosby Street and also for Kennedy. Fast forward took 2 years from there, over there on Hospital Avenue, you have BRT blowing up Hospital Avenue to put down more townhouses, which 2 years later is still not done.
Correct.
What are your thoughts now, 4 years later, on giving tax breaks to residential developments such as BRT, which you don't, obviously, upon what they did over the Hospital Avenue on the blasting and breaking the foundations of neighbors, still haven't really finished the job they're supposed to do over there, and still didn't do anything in terms of Kennedy. We still have a pile of rubble over there at Kennedy Place.
It's very upsetting to see that. And as you know, I did do a press conference in front of the Crosby Street building, because initially when that building was being built, it was promised to be for young individuals that were moving within our community to improve the downtown, to spend money in our restaurants, to do all types of activities downtown. That is not what happened. The complete opposite happened. It was rented for students from Westcott. Of course we need housing, yes, I agree, let's make the housing for the students. But it was not the way that it was approved. That's not what it was for. And it's also in violation of the parking from what I understand, per the regs. So it's confusing how certain
Right.
things get approved with certain people and they don't get approved with other people.
Right.
Also, we were told that on Kennedy Avenue, development was going to go there also for young individuals that, are professionals that are moving in. Nothing has happened on that property.
Right. And that's
That
been,
is,
what,
it's,
4, 5, 6 years?
it's horrible because you go downtown and it's a horrid thing to look at. It really is. And instead of developing that property, they blast a mountain right next to the hospital, breaking people's foundations and just destroying the landscape of that area. And I don't understand how that was approved.
Right, and now here we are at least 2 years later, and you still go over to Hospital Avenue. 1 unit has been built, 2 units have not been built.
And they're not all rented.
There's no retention things up there to stop the flow coming from down there, and we just got an eyesore where we used to have just pristine, nice-looking land.
My concern is too this winter. If we have a winter like we did last year, and the situation with the ice coming down, it will be disastrous because cars will have accidents on that corner, one after the other.
Right, as we know very well, that's one of the biggest
Yes.
accident intersections over there.
Correct.
Hospital in Virginia, that area right there. Prone
Yes.
for accidents because you can't see coming down that road.
Right.
But all right, well look, thanks to talk to you. I'll give you your last opportunity to give your pitch to the residents here in Danbury on why they should vote for you. So the floor is yours.
Well, I truly believe that I need to go back into government. I need to go back on the council to make a difference. And that's what I did 7 years ago. Then I did become city clerk, and then I ran for mayor. It's been very tiring because I do have a business, and I've devoted a lot of time to that business. I also had a son that was graduating from college and is in the military. He will be a first lieutenant, actually this month. And so we were concerned, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind to run for a higher office at this point because I didn't know whether he was going to be sent to Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan. So I preferred to hold back, and now that I have the opportunity to run for council, I know that I can make a big difference, as I did before, and I care about what people have to say. I don't care about what I think. Of course, what I think is important, but I have to listen to the people that put me in office, and that's the one thing that most politicians have forgotten about today. Once they get into office, they don't remember you. They don't necessarily care what you have to say to them, but a person that's on the council is not paid. I don't get any benefit from being on the council,
Right.
and I just think that I need to make a difference again.
Well, look, thank you very much for coming on my little spot here, and best of luck to you next Tuesday.
Thank you, and I hope everyone gets power back. I don't have it back yet either.
All right, and look, again, if you don't come out and vote next Tuesday, you don't have any right whatsoever to bitch and moan, all right?
Yes.
So come out and vote. Take care.
Thank
very
you.